welcome to episode 22 of Studio Tapped, where we bring you an inside look of a website development and design studio. I'm Patrick Smith.
And I'm Heather Acton.
And our topic today for episode 22, it's something we'll probably come back to a few times, I would imagine. It's we're titling it Small Scale Scaling.
Small scale scaling.
There you go, thanks. And let's define what this is, Heather.
Sure. Small scale scaling it's the spot that we're in right now, where we're moving from being just a couple people doing design and dev work for clients to moving into 6, 8, 10 people doing similar type of work, but on a grander scale with more diversity in our team and all that good stuff. And some of the challenges that go along with moving from just 2 people to 8 or 10 people regarding money, attracting the right people, retaining folks, building culture, all that good stuff.
Culture, very important.
Good thing we took a break. I wrote some notes.
Yeah, good. Good deal. And I think the other reason we want to do this is because as we've been listening to other podcasts, kind of that talk about how to scale your business and just how to grow. A lot of them really aren't made for companies our size. They're either for the sole entrepreneur who's just trying to get a business off the ground. Or they're for, I think you mentioned the Dave Ramsey's of the world that are taking these companies that might be 10, 20 million dollar companies and trying to scale those to $100 million companies. It's a very different game than ours, and there's nothing really in between, at least that we could find. So,
right.
Especially in our space.
Right.
So, maybe other people that are making widgets or some other resources or something, but
yeah.
Anyway.
The best resource I've found so far is talking to other people doing similar things as us that I've had at conferences. And at the last WordCamp I was at, which was in Minneapolis, there was a small group of small agency owners all right around our size within the last year, and moving to something that's just a little bit bigger. And as we all kind of gathered around a table and just chatted about it, the challenges are very similar. Some people are further along in the process, some people are earlier in the process, and everybody's vision differs a little bit, but there is definitely a power in just talking to each other about it and being able to help each other through different steps. So this is, I don't know that we're going to have all the answers here by any means, but we're trying to open up the conversation and get some of it going.
Yeah, maybe Marcus Lemonis will give us a call if he hears this and come in and give us some advice.
I might faint if that happens, just so you know.
Oh, okay. So let's start at the beginning. I think everybody's talking about scaling and how to do it and all that good stuff, but let's start at square one. Why do you want to grow?
Why do we want to grow?
Yeah.
Why do we want to grow? Do you want to go first?
I can.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Do you need a second?
Mm-hmm.
So my reason for wanting to grow, there's the obvious reasons of money, right? Okay, that's seems like an easy one. I don't know if that's my main driver, but I have a belief that if you have the right people, or the right amount of people with different experiences and different perspectives, in what we do and the creative side of things and the development side of things too, you can offer different types of solutions for clients, and you won't be kind of a one-dimensional creative team. And so I want to scale to bring more depth and perspective to bring some more depth to what we do, and I want to be able to, and right now if we have 2 or 3 creatives, 3 or 4 creatives at any given time, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say I want to be able to go after other clients and knowing that we can solve their problems because we do have a deeper bench of talent. So that's
how far do you think of taking that?
In my mind, perfect world right now would be 3 to 4 teams. Each team would be a little bit different, just depending on the business. So the business is always going to define what teams look like, But in a perfect world, if money was no object, I would love to have at least on one team, a designer, developer, and then maybe each team shares a writer. Maybe there's, I don't know if you need a writer on every team. You might. It kind of depends on what it is. I think I've noticed that you could probably have a writer split on two pieces of business, or across two teams, and then also maybe shared across two teams, some kind of producer or content person or production person, some mix of that, again, depending on what the client mix is. And then, it's kind of like, that'd pretty much be.
So I got 15, 16 people, something in that realm.
Yeah, on the outside. And right now we probably have two of those teams. It'd be nice to have two more. So two teams would probably be two designers, two developers, a writer, and some combination of a production person or producer person.
Mm-hmm. Would the teams be set up to, would there be like a pharma team and a construction team? Do you see it like that, or
That's a good question.
or is it skill level? This is A team, B team.
Once we get all those retainers signed,
Yeah.
I'll have a much clearer.
We'll figure that part out.
Yeah, but right now it's definitely A team on retainer work. And I think right now we have everything is A team. There really isn't a B team, but I would like to have some kind of senior. We do right now have a senior team, and then have kind of a junior team where we're always bringing in someone fresh, a new perspective kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
And there's been overlap and mix, so it hasn't necessarily been these rigid teams where it's always these three that work together, that three that work together.
Right.
We've had to cross over. Some of that might just be because of size right now, but
Yeah, and projects, sometimes we know if it's a one-off project, we can put the right amount of people, the right mix of people on it, because this would be a great opportunity for so-and-so to do this kind of, I don't know, nonprofit project or whatever. And it might be perfect for this writer to jump in on some healthcare where they may not have had a chance before. So sometimes it's more of what's the opportunity and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful.
Yeah, and also I think we've said this before in the past. Being a 2-person or 4-person shop, it's not that it's not fun or we don't do good work. It's we've been doing it for a while, and so we want to get to that next level up, climb the ladder.
Yeah, a little more sustainable too, to have more people. When we're at 2 or 4 and one person leaves, it throws everything off. You're at 7, 8, 12, 14.
Yeah.
One person leaves, not that it doesn't hurt, or or the person's not fit for whatever. It's not, but it doesn't create such the dent in everything that we're doing. So why not 30, 40, or 50 people?
I don't have a good answer. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's all about, I think it's one step at a time, at least in my head. I've worked at agencies that were 100-person, 400 people, and everything in between there. I've done that, and I just, in my mind, I can't imagine going from where we're at now to one of those organizations. It's not that it's impossible. I just have a hard time seeing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I necessarily personally need to do that for any other reason than just for the growth, for the sake of growth. I'd rather be a great 15-person shop and be doing awesome work, and maybe being able to be a little, in the fantasy land, be a little bit more selective with the kind of work we were going to do than have to feed a beast of that scale and size. I mean, the pressure in that's just got to be insane.
Yeah.
So.
It's my perception, whether this is right or wrong, I don't know, but my perception is when you hit like that 25 or 30 number, I think it's really hard to have a team of all-stars at that point and maintain a really high level of quality and keep a great culture. And I know there's companies that are out there doing it, but maybe that's the same headspace as I can't see how to get from here to there and still do such great work and have such a tight-knit team at the same time.
And maintain some control over it.
Exactly.
I think right now it's still, as much as I am giving up control on a lot of things, or delegating, however you want to call it, I feel like I'm still touching 99% of the work.
Right.
So that I like that part of it right now too. So,
Yeah.
So
I have to imagine, though, say say in a year or 2 years, we're at 14 people, something like that, and we got a big retainer with a larger company or something. Like I could see that the scaling from that point to 20 or 30 is probably not as difficult. It's a little easier to attract good people when you have a little more size to you. And I would assume at that point we should have a bankroll. There's some level of savings to help fund it. And then every incremental person we add is not quite the investment that it is today.
Yeah.
If we're doing it right.
Yeah. And at that scale too, you'd have a team or at least a few people being responsible for going out and getting that kind of business. Right now, because we're hands on keyboard for so much of the time, it's just hard to scale because we're busy doing the work too.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
So going back to that original question, why do you want to grow?
So I probably had the most clarity on this when I went on vacation for the first time in 8 years a few weeks ago. One of the reasons I haven't gone on vacation in the last 8 years is because if I were to go on vacation, everything would stop in the business. There would be no money made. There would be no progress on client projects. Now that we have a few people that can replace me in many aspects, I went on vacation and was able to enjoy it and not even really check in. I checked in on the computer here and there more from a cultural standpoint than watching over things or making sure projects are moving. I just knew that they would move along without me there. So I see it as a partially a sustainability effort, like of my own life. I don't doing the work on my own or as one person doesn't work long term. It would always mean that if I fall off a bridge one day, the work stops, and there's no way to help pick that stuff up. So I like the thought of having this team of trusted folks that can really keep things moving. It also offers flexibility, right? If you want to go renovate a house for 3 months and try something different, there's some other options that are out there. And always the business can keep moving. The other part of it is more my core value of I like the thought of creating a place to work that people love to work. One of my personal missions is that I want to help people not have to ever work at a place that they hate working at. I was there, I hated it, and got myself out of it. And I thought, well, if we can expand this to other people, that's great. So maybe not the standard reasons of bigger clients, better work, although those are all reasons. They're not necessarily my core drivers of why we're doing this.
Nice. I didn't know you hated your previous job so much.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
Is there anything you'd like to say to your former employer right now on the record?
No. No, I'm deciding what I should say and what I shouldn't say. But I mean, everybody's had the job that they hate. Everybody had, and I felt stuck in it. But I think if we can having a cool place to work or a fun place to work where you feel like you're doing great work and you're fulfilled and you're appreciated and you're challenged and all that good stuff. It's like what are we here for? It may as well be a fulfilling place to be for as much time as we spend here. And I do think it makes a huge quality of life difference to love what you do and feel like you're making a difference and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and to build on that, kind of looping back to what I was saying before, probably the other part of what I meant to say, or half of what I was going to say is, and I forgot to say was, when you grow, suddenly you have this like a different level of credibility, and clients do look at you a little bit differently, and you do have it's all perception of more resources, or that's true. You can get more resources and whatnot, but and you get, in a perfect world, you get more meaningful opportunities and bigger opportunities. And I want to be in a place where we're climbing the ladder and every year get a little bit bigger, a little bit better. for ourselves, and then get a little bit bigger opportunities from our clients, and hopefully we grow with them, they grow with us, kind of stuff. And so it's again, it's beyond growth just for growth's sake, but growth to kind of climb the ladder a little bit too.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, it's been nice even at to this point to get projects with organizations or companies that are a little bit more serious or vested in what they're doing versus some of the clients the first few years. I probably built 10 websites that weren't even managed through the year because it was like people had an idea and I was working for cheap. So we threw it up and it comes right back down. But now it's like the stuff we're doing for people really, really matters for them launching their idea or growing their business. And it's a different ballgame.
Yeah. So question number 2, what are the challenges you're facing in small scale scaling?
Small scale scaling. Should we just bite off the big one right off the bat?
Sure.
The one that nobody ever wants to talk about, but we're working through?
Sure.
Money. It's money, yeah. It's we can replay some of the last few months, which is got a ton of great work coming our way. So proposals accepted, more leads coming in. We don't have enough resources on the team to complete all this work and do a great job at it. So we brought on some new folks, a producer, account manager, another developer, another designer. So start to grow to meet the demand that we have, which is great. But we pay people on time. So more or less as employees or contractors are finishing their work, we make sure that they get money in their pocket for the great stuff they did. But that's not how we get paid for projects necessarily. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a 60-day, 90-day, 120-day wait until...
Or they might just forget about it entirely.
Exactly.
Oh, I never saw that invoice.
Yeah. So it's there's a cash flow issue there that we've been kind of trudging through. We didn't necessarily have a big savings account to work from, and I know in a perfect world, I think an accountant had told us, so you should have $60,000 in the bank if you're going to go hire another person. And we're like, so what do? We don't have $60,000 in the bank. So do we not hire? Do we just turn away this business, or do we find creative ways to find the money to do what we want to do in a smart way? So I've struggled with it a lot mentally just because I'm not, I don't know if it's the way I was raised or what, but I have this bad view of debt. Like, never want to be in a ton of credit card debt or anything like that. But loans were the most obvious. As I had talked to a few people that I know that have grown larger businesses, $1 million businesses, $2 million businesses, it was, you need a small business loan. Okay. So that's the route that we've taken. With that, to give peace of mind, we've projected out. So we know about what our expenses are every month, and we know about when we should get paid for certain projects. And when you can see that this dip happens, and we've got to dip into our loan a little bit and to be able to pay employees and contractors and ourselves. But I can also see that 3 months out or 4 months out or 5 months out as we come out of that dip and do start to build a savings. So that's how we've managed it. And right now we're in the dip. So we don't know how it's going to turn out yet. I think I know, as long as people pay on time and the work volume stays. But that has kind of brought us into that next part of it is, yes, we had this burst of business, which we've had before. But how do we keep that new level of business growth going so that we can sustain the people that we have and, potentially have another couple in the next year or so. So business development is the other one. You've gotten this in my head over and over and over and over again. Not that I've disagreed by any means, but it's clicked a lot over the last month, especially how important that's going to be to make sure that we continue to have a high level of work, and be able to go to that next step too. Yeah. How's your experience with the money part of it been? You don't have quite the anxiety over it that I do. It doesn't seem.
I think I'm gonna go in the Wayback Machine. In the Wayback, in the very beginning of this, like the first 4 or 5 years, because I didn't have any employees, I did have a bunch of money like on reserve, and it was great. So I was able to pay people, pay contractors, pay vendors, whatever it was, and I never felt it. And even 2 years ago, when I had 2 designers on payroll, and we had contractors, all over the place, there was so much work happening that I wasn't paying that close of attention. There was enough work happening where there was never really I never really had a major cash flow issue. I think what's happened, because there was so much work coming from all different directions, I think what's happened to me in the last year is, as we've again brought on 2 or 3 people, that scale's happened faster than I probably hired in the past. Basically hired 3 new people in a month or so, somewhere in that ballpark. And there was some cash reserves, but not what I had in the past, because we just kind of came out of another arrangement where a lot of the business development that we were doing actually didn't result in business for us. And so that was a little bit of a stop, if you will, in kind of our own personal or my business development for both our groups. And so we've been rebuilding that. And so because of quick hiring, and then the discipline around accounting for me has never been a strength at all. And I mentioned this before. I just hate the whole accounting part of things. I just haven't kept a good eye on it. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, where is all the money? This is insane. And so I almost had to put the brakes on a handful of things to dig into this. And lo and behold, 2 or 3 clients that just haven't paid, and all of a sudden all your operating money's gone. And I'm sitting here going, we're running around, working crazy hours, working weekends, trying to get caught up, and no matter how much I work or how much the group's working, how can we not be making money? So it's been for like a quarter. It was completely puzzling me. I have a new appreciation for the cash flow side of things that I didn't have even a year ago. And so it's just in the past, it was always something I was able to manage, and it always worked out. And over time, it would all work itself out. This last 6 months or so has been like an eye opener for me, going, wow, there's real bills, there's more people. We've got a new office. It's a little bit more expensive than our previous one. I don't think our expenses have gone through the roof on the monthly.
People. It's just
people. Yeah. And a couple computers and just, some odds and ends, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not going to make or break anything. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, wow. Yep. So yeah, the cash has been an eye opener for me. And I've learned that I need to be a lot more disciplined around billing, and making sure here's a great example. We're doing a project right now where, the project was going to take a month, or so I thought. And do we want to send a 50% invoice down? Maybe we shouldn't. This thing's going to happen so fast. It will be done in a month anyway. Well, guess what? Project
2 months.
2 months, 3 months in, we've done the work. The holdup isn't on us. The holdup is on the client delivering their content, and they're stuck. So now we're at a spot where I haven't billed them anything. We've done all the work, and
we're just sitting here.
We're just sitting here waiting.
We've paid people to do the work
exactly.
at this point. Yeah.
So it's really So that's shame on me for doing that. But I had the best of intentions.
Yeah. Well, we learned little lessons from each of those two, and I even just utilizing this loan. I did just a rough calculation on it the other day. Like, I don't want to do this, but I try to look sometimes at worst case scenario of, say I had to leave $20,000 on this loan for a whole year. How much would it cost me? And it was like $1,400. I'm like, oh, well, that's not really that big of a deal. So some of it is being smart about, getting the right type of loan and looking at rates and all that good stuff. But it's also it is a nice way to fund those situations where maybe we did make a mistake here or there, or we forgot to follow up with somebody, or we didn't send a first invoice. We're going to make those mistakes, but they don't have to be incredibly expensive. We just have to make sure that fallback option is in place.
Yeah.
And we'll get better. We'll get better.
Yeah.
It is harder with more people too, just because we're not touching all the work. So sometimes things happen now, and I'll go into Harvest to do invoicing. I'm like, I didn't even know that we did any work for this client this month, and do we have an estimate for it, and is it the right amount? But I think we'll get a handle on it. That's probably a sidebar challenge of small scale scaling, is just keeping track of, when we're the people that still manage the finances on whole, how do we keep our arms around all that stuff?
Yeah.
And the answer right now is we're muscling through it with a little bit of help from an accountant.
Yeah. Well, there is the way I set up my projects are different than the way you set up your projects. So I definitely have a method. Mm-hmm. So we don't need to get into it now, but it's all job numbers.
Yep. we do. I do those now too, and it does make a lot easier to have that in place for sure.
Because if you have a job number, that's a number that people can bill their time to in Harvest. If there's time billed to it, then there should have been some kind of deliverable. Mm-hmm. And then if there's a deliverable, there should be some kind of invoice to be sent at some point.
Exactly.
And if there's a job open on in our Dropbox folders, that means it hasn't been billed yet.
Yeah, the Dropbox part of it I have not adopted fully yet. I'm not so great at cleaning those things up, but the Harvest method, I've copied pretty much exactly what you do over to us, and it has worked out nice.
So what beyond the money part of this, is there any another challenge?
I think the other challenge we actually hit more when we tried this the first time around. Let's go back 18 months or so. We had a burst of work due to I'm not going to say due to, we had the partnership that was happening, and along with that happened to be a burst of at least development work. And at the time, I hadn't really been thinking about hiring somebody, or I felt like, I know a lot of people in the WordPress community, so if we need to find somebody, we can grab someone to help here and there. The result was we ended up making a hire that ended up not being the right fit overall for us. So and it really kind of threw us into a tailspin. That, along with a few contractors, some were great, some were not. I think the finding good people that are willing to join the team and know that they're kind of taking more of a risk in working for us because we're small right now and we're in this growth phase is difficult. There's a lot of all-stars out there, but they want to be on an established team that they don't have to wonder, is the company going to still be around in a year or whatever. So once that happened and we kind of went up in people and then pretty drastically went back down again, because it was a rough experience, I thought about it different the next time in. The next time in, it was really focusing on seeking out people who could be potential new hires, even though I didn't need them at the time, or we didn't need them at the time. Going to WordCamps changed for me drastically. WordCamps became meaningful for me again, because I was very targeted in, I'm trying to meet other people that could be the right fit for us, and then spend the time getting to know them to a point that if we got to a spot where we wanted to hire, that I knew they would be the right type to jump on board with us. They'd be willing to take that risk. The other side of it is with the targeting at WordCamps was making sure that I was talking to other business owners that had been through this phase and just doing the gut checks with them around, are we thinking of this right? And just having those other conversations. So that's what I feel like has gone much more right this time around, is we have a group of people that I feel wonderful about, that they are the right people. Everybody's gelling really nice. The capabilities are diverse, and people, they're vested in what we're doing too. They I think they're doing it for us. Of course they're doing it for them, but I think there's a little more of a values alignment with the folks that are on the team now versus some of the team that we were building 18 months ago or 12 months ago. Would you agree, Patrick Smith?
Sure. I would agree that the team now is gelling in a way that the other one didn't. I think you're right for the values thing. You've been in business for 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in business for 7 or 8 years. For the last 2 or 3 years, you've always had at least 1 or 2 employees. I've always had at least a couple of employees. So we've always kind of had a baseline amount of business. It's just going to that next level up. Where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. Oh, with the people part. I thought we had good people before. I think it was just a little bit different dynamic, and the reason it was different is because there were already companies established with their existing quote unquote culture / belief / values, whatever you want to call it, and we all had our own version of it, and we try to slam them together, and there's a clash. There's a lot of friction there. So.
We had kind of done Insta team versus now it's been a little more organic growth of the team.
And I think that without not too many cooks in the kitchen and bringing one person on at a time that's the right fit versus like I said, Insta team where we just didn't. I don't know. That's a whole other podcast. Like what I don't know what the topic would be, but it's something about slamming 3 teams together, but that happens in inside larger agencies too.
Exactly.
Big agencies are really just a bunch of smaller groups, and so when you have these project teams that kind of get rearranged or reconfigured for on the seating chart, what do they call it again? The silo
org
chart. Thank you, God. Seating chart. There's conflict in those two because every team's got their own culture. I worked at an agency one time where the director of the business, we all got kind of reconfigured. There was an agency reorg, and there was like 20 of us in a room, and he pulled out his basically like his what would you call it, the constitution for his team, and he had he's like, if you're going to work on my team, these are the rules we abide by, and he just like read off. It was really cool actually. I never had been on a team like that. That was the only team that was like that in the agency that I worked on. Other people had rules, but they weren't declared in the same way. It was just interesting to have this culture within a culture kind of thing. But anyway, I don't know what I've totally lost. What are we talking about again?
Well,
people.
People. It fit well. Yeah. The challenge in finding people that are willing to come on board with a growing, not super well established team. But I like the thought of.
We're established. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I think it versus, so if
compared to what, I guess.
So I'm thinking, putting somebody like in Leo's position. So Leo
compared to DDB, I'll give you that.
Right. Or like he could have gone to Web Dev Studio. So 70-person team where he would have been on a team of whatever, 6 developers, 5 developers, whatever. But they're definitely more well established than we are, but probably a little more corporate. I guess they're not corporate, but so there's pluses and minuses, and I just think it's finding the right people that are willing to kind of grow with us. When Leo got here, we didn't have a wonderful starter framework for ourselves, and he's helping us develop that. So it fit for him, but that's not everybody's gig. A lot of people want to go in 9 to 5, punch their card, build their website, write their code, do their Photoshop time, and get out. And there's better fits than us for that.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. So for the people that want to work here or do work here, I think are interested in are contributing to helping grow a business or an organization on some level. And so hopefully we'll hire more people like that. I think I had a recent instance where I hired someone that probably didn't have that inside of them. They wanted that punch the clock kind of thing, which was fine. But ultimately it wasn't, they didn't have that entrepreneurial gene, if you will. So, which is fine. So I think, if somebody wants to go work at the very consistent, predictable, quote unquote safe opportunity, there's plenty of places to go work. And the thing that I've always thought of, those quote unquote safe places can drop you just as quick as a small place. I think we have more control over our destiny than some of those bigger places, because you're just a number or just a person on the org chart.
Right.
And hey, if big gorilla client number one leaves, well,
we have to drop 6 people and sorry.
So I think we care a little. We can only care so much.
Right.
I mean, there's a degree where things, but I think we try to make things work, or we're trying to make things work for all the right reasons. Where I think other places,
right.
it's just it's more of a counting problem. So anyway.
Yeah. I think we've done a good job of finding that is probably what separates this group versus past groups that we've had. Is it does seem even with Morgan now, seeing it in somebody so young, that she hangs with those conversations too about like, hey, what are we doing about business development, or hey, how could we do this better? Like they're just having those thoughts as somebody new on the team is really encouraging, and that's the characteristic that fits well with us.
Yeah, I wish I had another challenge off the top of my head. I think the other challenge that for me at least, and I felt this very recently, was onboarding and my processes, our processes, and I've been too nice in letting other people not follow the processes, and that's created issues because I didn't want to be a micromanager, and now I'm understanding the value in micromanaging. So
right.
The opportunity for me is really to put more structure around those and really make it a formal process.
Firm requirements versus, hey, if you could do this.
Yeah. Exactly. Because that's come back to bite me once or twice too. So and I was trying to give people the benefit of the doubt and give them time to adjust, but it just, hey, this is our business and this is the way we work, and I know you've got some ideas about how you want to do it, but we're not doing that anymore. Sorry.
Yeah. There's places to bring those. There's places to have ideas, and some of these pure business processes ones aren't ones to mess with at this point.
At this point,
Yeah.
Someday,
they're honed from 8 years of screwing up and learning from it.
Yeah. At some time, if as we grow, there might be a place and time and place to introduce and re-examine some stuff, but for right now, this is the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good one.
Yeah. So one more question here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I had any other big insights or ahas. There's something about the roles on the team and clarification for those, and how people are having to flow to the work for some different items right now. So we've got like Ellie, who's technically a producer, but she's also helping with content on a bunch of other projects. It's the other joy of being small, but also having nimble employees is being able to help each other out in that way. And it probably will still be that way to a point at say 12, 14, 16 people, but not as much so as it is right this minute. Chris being, biz dev sales guy, he is also helping with project management because, there's a need there too. So not a challenge so much, but it's something that happens that it's good to be aware of that it will happen as you start to move beyond just a couple people.
Yeah. Well, going back to what kind of people want to work here, if you want to do just one thing every day the exact same way and solve the same problems over and over, that there are other companies that are a much better fit for that universe of kind of worker. I think the fun thing is what we get to do a lot of different stuff.
Exactly.
You brought Morgan's been able to be hands-on on identity work, some website work, infographic work, packaging work, some promotional, exhibit kind of stuff. I'm blanking. And she's only been here for 4 weeks or whatever it is. And so she's touched a variety of different types of work in a very short period of time, and a lot of it's gone right to the client because it's been really good. So you get to do, and part of this is driven by our clients. Like, we don't have a niche specialty. It's not like, hey, we have a focus just in healthcare or just in this manufacturing or just in tech. We've got lots of different clients with lots of different that use us in very different ways too.
Yeah.
So.
And Morgan's 23, right? So just out of school, has already gotten to be involved in all these types of projects. She had her first client presentation with us last week or 2 weeks ago, did great with that. So that's a great point. The opportunity that people are getting here, because we are smaller and trusting of the people that we're working with. You're right. You wouldn't get that at going into a big agency right off the bat. No. You're not going to get client exposure in your first month, or you're going to get put on a team where this is your role and you do this over and over. And again, some people think that's great. Not the type of people that want to work with us.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We're a buffet of opportunity. Oh, man.
I like that.
That'd be another podcast one time, just a different client mix and the schizophrenia of some of our some of what we have to do. So probably the last question of this mix is, if you could change one thing, like if there was one thing you could wish for and make happen tomorrow, what would be the one thing that would kind of change the course or get you to the promised land, or get us to the promised land of this ideal scenario where suddenly just all the problems just reinvent themselves and you trade up your problems, but just for right now, pretend that's like the perfect
it's not going to be what you think. It's actually in me. I would just like a release of some of the anxiety that comes with it. Like, it's an effort for me every day to not have anxiety over the finances, even though I have this forecast out there. But there's not really a magic bullet. I mean, we could get one big piece of business that, sure would solve everything, but that's not really what's needed. We're fine. We're doing the right things. I'm the problem right now. So that would be
this would be ideal for me, at least. I think would be to get large enough where someone else can just manage all the money, and then all we need is a monthly report saying payroll's covered, everything's covered, we're hitting all of our numbers. Just go to sleep tonight and don't worry about it.
Oh, I see. I think I'll always have to be really involved in it. I don't, not that I have to manage it, but I probably will want to know almost, on a weekly basis at least, where things are at. And I like that part. I mean, maybe that's the sick part of it for me, is that this is an interesting challenge to manage through. And it's kind of what we do it all for, right? We do this for money, or, not all we do it for, but it is a very important part of why we do it. And
if you're not making money, you can't do it anymore.
Exactly.
So it's like oxygen. You gotta be able to breathe, to do anything. So
and it'd be nice to be at a spot where there's some security there too, that there is a bankroll, that we can make more of these moves and not have them be filled with anxiety every time about, should we make this move? Do we have enough? And is it going to be the thing that sinks us and all that? And just a little bit of a bankroll would help.
Well, let me ask you, has there been a move that hasn't worked for you? Like since...
Not in the last year, but but yes.
Okay.
We've been here before and almost died. So, but again, it was because of things we learned from. It was nothing. It wasn't horrible. But so I feel pretty good that we're at least at the spot where I got the courage and guts to try again.
So you got burned before and you're just trying to avoid that.
Yeah, exactly.
That experience is keeping you diligently focused on all that stuff.
Exactly. So I read a lot of self-help books and drink a lot. And it's great. Real life. Real life of an entrepreneur.
No, well, I think that what happened before, now that I think about it, I forgot about all that stuff. I blocked it all out of my mind. But that was, the set of circumstances around that were so incredibly different than
Exactly.
anything that's happening right now. I think we have control over everything as much as any business owner can have. You know, what happens outside the walls with clients and the economy overall, and you know, we can't control that.
Yeah.
But in our own business a year and a half ago, we didn't even have control over a lot of decisions we were making, or very limited, or if we didn't like the direction things were going, that caused friction and anxiety. And anyway, so
you're exactly right.
Place.
It was more painful then because of exactly that. I felt like it was just happening and kind of running away without me, and that part stunk. This time through, I've said this a lot, but I have a huge, not an overly religious person, but I do have a lot of faith this time around that things will work out and we're going in the right direction. But a lot of that is just the way we've done things over the past 8 months versus the way we did them 18 months ago. It is a world of difference that we've done things more organically and the way that we've wanted to, and not you saying we're going to do it this way or me saying we're going to do it this way. We kind of just naturally ended up on this parallel path where and other people have started to follow. So I have a ton of faith, no doubt, but I still need my self-help books.
So what's the best self-help book, just for those entrepreneurs out there that are small business owners that are
the one that's
looking for
helped the
something
most. I just finished "You're a Badass" and by Jen Sincero, and that was really, really good. Mostly because there's some scenarios in there that are so identical to what we're going through. So she's got stories about, you know, when she was freelancing and didn't have a lot of clients, and then she got a lot of clients, and then she had to hire a couple people. Like it's just, there's a lot of stuff that's very similar. And so what helps for me with those is you hear from somebody that you're not the only one, right? And then you're like, okay, well, they've gone through this too, and they got through it, and look where they're at, and blah, blah, blah. So that's been the most helpful. Actually, I think I'm going to read it again and again and again and again, but I'm probably going to read it again right away because I tend to lose pieces of it as I go through and don't think about some parts of it as much as I should. But it's a good one. Good, very real motivational book. So,
all right.
Well, good.
Well, on that note, I think I want to leave it on something positive.
Good. You're a badass.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Hopefully this was productive for someone. We'll probably revisit this topic again as we try to scale again.
Small scale scaling.
All right. Bye for now.